Here we see the grizzly bear, or Ursus arctos horribilis. It's a subspecies of the brown bear native to Montana, Wyoming, much of Canada, and some of Alaska. In the wild, they eat berries, seeds, nuts, small mammals, and fish. During the summer and fall, they eat a lot to build up fat for their hibernation, and it's also during the hibernation when the females have cubs. The grizzly bear was once listed as endangered due to habitat loss and overhunting, but the species has since recovered and it's now listed as near threatened. Here we see the Hamadryas baboon. Baboons are among the world's largest monkeys, and the Hamadryas species is native to the mountains of Ethiopia, other areas of Eastern Africa, and even in the Middle East. Baboons live in large patriarchal groups with a strict hierarchy. Omnivores like us, they eat on almost anything that's available, such as grass, seeds, and fruit, but males have also been known to eat things like small antelope. Like many social primates, baboons spend a lot of time grooming each other. It keeps each other clean and reinforces social bonds. Lower-ranking individuals groom the higher-ranking, the young groom the old, and the females groom males. Here is a flock of rainbow lorikeets, native to the forests of Australia. In the wild, rainbow lorikeets mainly feed on fruits, seeds, and nectar from flowers. They have highly specialized tongues that have brushes on the end of it that helps them to lick up the flowers. While not endangered, the rainbow lorikeet is threatened to a degree, mainly due to habitat loss and capture for the pet trade. And here we see the koala. The name koala comes from the Aborigine word meaning no drink, because the koala gets all the water it needs from the eucalyptus leaves. In fact, eucalyptus leaves are the only things that they eat. This is why most U.S. zoos don't have koalas, because they can't provide enough eucalyptus leaves. Even though they're called koala bears, koalas aren't bears. They're marsupials. Koalas usually sleep for up to 23 hours a day, and they're mostly active at night. Koalas are threatened mainly due to habitat loss and collisions with cars. Here we see the Komodo Dragon, the world's largest lizard. The Komodo Dragon is native to the islands of Komodo, Ringka, and Padar in Indonesia. In the wild, they mainly feed on monkeys, goats, birds, sometimes even water buffalo. They contain a potent venom in their saliva that prevents its prey's blood from clotting. The Komodo dragon is currently threatened due to habitat loss and poaching for its hide, which is used to make belts, shoes, purses, and wallets. Here we see the king vulture, native to the jungles of South America. As is the case with all vultures, they have rather weak talons compared to hawks, eagles, or owls, and rather than flapping their wings, they spread their wings out to soar and glide over the air thermals to find their food. And again, as is the case with all vultures, they are scavengers feeding mainly on carrion or dying small mammals. They have specialized stomachs filled with bacteria to break down any infectious bacteria in their food, which keeps them from getting sick. So thanks for the nice glimpse at Nature's Cleanup Crew. Here we see the California sea lions. One way to tell a sea lion apart from a true seal is that sea lions have tufts of hair on the sides of their heads that look like ears. These are not found in true seals. And sea lions use their front flippers to push them through the water, and their rear flippers like rudders for steering. And when on land, the sea lions use their front flippers to push them forward and hop. In the wild, sea lions mainly eat fish and crustaceans, and they have a thick layer of fat called blubber, which helps to keep them warm in frigid waters. Sea lions are very intelligent animals, and they are very well known for balancing things on top of their noses. Here we see a mob of red kangaroo. The name kangaroo comes from an Aborigine word meaning "I don't understand." It came from a misinterpretation from English settlers, and the name has just stuck ever since. Red kangaroos are the largest marsupials in the world, and they can hop up to 25 feet in a single jump, thanks to their long back legs and their tail, which acts as a balance. Male kangaroos, or boomers, are the ones with the reddish color, while the females, or flyers, have a grayish color. Like all marsupials, kangaroo joeys are first born underdeveloped and have to crawl to their mother's pouches. Red kangaroos live in large groups called mobs, headed by a single boomer known as the old man. Right here we see a pair of red-necked wallaby. Much smaller than kangaroos, wallabies usually live in forests and mountain areas, but just like with kangaroos, they get around by hopping on their hind legs and using their tails as balance. And again, like all other kangaroos, wallabies are mainly herbivores, feeding on grasses and ground plants. And here we see a pair of laughing kookaburra. The kookaburra gets its name, laughing kookaburra, from the call it makes, which is mainly used to mark its territory. A relative of the kingfisher, kookaburras are mainly carnivores, feeding on snakes, small mammals, and fish. They often nest in large colonies where each member takes part in raising the chicks. Kookaburras are almost so tame that they even take food out of a person's hands. And now we see a troop of western lowland gorillas. All gorillas in U.S. zoos are western lowlanders. Only one zoo in Europe has eastern lowland gorillas, and there are no mountain gorillas in zoos. None. Zero. Zilch. Western lowland gorillas are native to the forests of western and central Africa. They live in large family troops that are made up of a single silverback male, a few blackback males, several females, and their young. In the wild, they are almost complete herbivores, feeding mainly on fruits, leaves, and nuts. And outside of an occasional sprinkling of termites, they never eat meat. Here we see a pair of red-ruffed lemurs. The name lemur comes from the Latin word for ghost, a reference to their nighttime calls. All lemurs on the island of Madagascar are descended from a single species called proto-lemur. In the wild, lemurs mainly feed on fruits, resins, and tree sap. Ringtailed lemurs often live in large family groups where the females have the highest ranking in the hierarchy. Lemurs, along with galagos and tarsiers, belong to a group of primates known as prosimians, a much more primitive group than monkeys and apes. Lemurs often communicate via scent marking through their wrists. All lemurs are endangered mainly due to habitat loss and poaching for the bushmeat trade. This is the common squirrel monkey, native to the jungles of Central and South America. Squirrel monkeys often live in troops throughout the forest where all the members help in care of the young. In the wild, they mainly eat fruits, leaves, flowers, and insects. Unlike most New World monkeys, squirrel monkeys mainly use their tails for balance as they run through the trees, although their tails are prehensile. Squirrel monkeys are threatened mainly by habitat loss and capture for the pet trade. This is the Hoffmans threetoed sloth, which lives in the jungles of South America. In the wild, they eat mainly leaves and have algae on their backs, which acts as camouflage. I hope you Zootopia fans got that. And here we see the world's second largest land mammal, the southern white rhinoceros. It can weigh about as much as a pickup truck. The name rhinoceros comes from two Greek words meaning nose horn, and the horn is made out of keratin, the same substance as human fingernails. The white rhino's name does not refer to the color of its hide, but by the shape of its mouth. It came from the Dutch word wijd, meaning wide, which again refers to its mouth, designed for grazing on grasses. In fact, due to the shape of its mouth, the white rhino can cut grass as neatly as a lawnmower. Rhinos have very poor eyesight, but it's more than made up for by great senses of hearing and smell. White rhinos are much more docile than black rhinos and are sometimes found in small groups called crashes. Poached almost to extinction for the value of its horn, the southern white rhino is currently listed as near threatened, unlike the northern white rhino, which is currently listed as extinct in the wild. And here we see the reticulated giraffe. The giraffe's name came from the Arabic word zirafa, which means the one that walks very fast. The other part of the giraffe's Latin name, camelopardalis, came from the fact that in old folk stories, it was believed that God created the giraffe from spare parts of camels and leopards. The giraffe is the tallest land mammal in the world, but despite this, there are only 7 vertebrae in their necks. The tongue of an adult giraffe is 18 inches long. In the wild, they mainly feed on acacia leaves and twigs. They don't do much chewing before they swallow, mainly because, like cows, they ruminate or chew their cud. Giraffes give birth standing up, which means that when a giraffe calf is born, it has a 5-foot fall to the ground. Whenever giraffes feed together, each one faces in a different direction to keep a better lookout for lions. And here we see the ostrich, the largest bird in the world. This is a female ostrich because the males are the ones that carry the famous black and white feathers. Ostriches can't fly, but they are very fast runners. And contrary to popular belief, the ostrich doesn't really stick its head in the sand when threatened. In the wild, they mainly feed on seeds, grass, and insects. And the ostrich lays the biggest eggs of any bird. The weight of one ostrich egg is the equivalent of 24 chicken eggs. And here we see the Grant's zebra, a subspecies of the plains zebra. Grant's zebras often go on large migrations along with wildebeests from the Masai Mara in Kenya to the Serengeti of Tanzania. Zebras live in large herds that are made up of a single stallion, a few mares, and their foals. Zebras are actually black with white stripes, not vice versa, and a zebra's stripe pattern is like a human fingerprint. No two are exactly the same. When a zebra foal is born, its mother will often keep it away from the rest of the herd so as to imprint off of her stripe pattern. In the wild, zebras eat grass and ground plants, but they only nip off the top parts to leave the lower shoots for animals like antelopes or wildebeests. Here we see the American alligator, or Alligator mississippiensis. This is a prime example of wildlife conservation success because alligators were hunted almost to extinction for their skins, which were used to make belts, shoes, purses, and wallets. But thanks to rigorous conservation efforts, the species is now recovering. They are found across much of the southern United States, such as Florida, Texas, and here in South Carolina. As is the case with all crocodilians, they usually feed on fish, turtles, and small to large mammals, and the mothers take good care of their young.